everybody, it's time to LOL. Listen out loud, that is. It's time for Anime Jam Session with DJ Ranma S, Mako-chan, and Ari Rockefeller.
Hey everybody, welcome to Anime Jam Session episode number 670. We are that podcast that talks about anime, games, conventions, the fandom, geek stuff, and everything in between. I'm DJ Ranma S.
And I'm Ari Rockefeller.
Okay, there's no Mako-chan tonight because Mako-chan did not go to Zenkaikon, so she is doing me a solid as we speak. So that is something I greatly appreciate. And that solid is moving my stuff from one storage place in mid-Jersey to another storage bin that's a little bit closer to there. And as we're chilling out in our chat room here at Twitch TV / Anime Jam Session, friend of the show, the Scott Luigi, pick it up. We're telling him about Zenkaikon, and he goes, if he can get down there, he'd be down. So it would be maybe like a 6-hour drive, but it might just be better flying down or something like that. Or fly down, we can pick him up and bring him through or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Or actually, get to probably take the train, from Massachusetts down.
I won't tell him not to, but I'll get into that.
Well, look. I have taken the train plenty of times to Zenkai. I've taken the train plenty of times to Lancaster. I just didn't have any issues with it. That's all.
Lucky you.
Well,
again, I'll get into it.
Yeah, definitely. We'll definitely get into that biz night. All right, I'm still trying to put everything together because I got in late from work, quote unquote, and let's just say I'm trying to get everything together. So, which is all said and done, Oh, and by the way, for those of you who are new to the show that are watching with us tonight, if you're looking at my angle is slightly off, it's because I have to position myself in a proper way so that the microphone picks up my voice. And I have a light in front of me right here that kind of helps with the reflection. And the webcam is to the right. So that's why it kind of looks like I'm a little bit off kilter, but it is what it is. So don't even worry about it. I think eventually I will figure out a better way to just have this entire setup. So, Oh, he's thinking about doing a Matt Foley mode. I could see that. I could definitely see that.
You don't see much SNL cosplay.
No.
It'd definitely be a fun change of pace.
I think the most popular SNL cosplays I've seen is people doing Wayne's World.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even think you can get the hat anymore unless you order it and track it down. It's actually had the Wayne's World hat appear at once. All right, now we got all that jibber jab out the way. Go ahead and let you know that we are live tonight, week of March 25th, 2025. Hey, 25. We're live right here on Twitch TV. We're here live Tuesdays from 9 to 10:30 p.m. Eastern. You'll always find us at Twitch TV / Anime Jam Session. We're also proud to be part of the Voice of Geeks Network at VogNetwork.com. And they're also here on Twitch. You can find them at Twitch TV / VogNetwork. They kick things off on Sunday nights at 8 p.m. with the Bobby Blackwolf Show, followed by Orange Lounge Radio at 9. And if you want, come hang out in our Discord, VogNetwork.com / Discord. Every show that's part of the Voice of Geeks Network has their own channel. So come through, hang out with us, talk shop, leave links. We will greatly appreciate that. So now that we got that out the way, I'm going to kick things over to Ari over here and ask him, how was his day and how was his week?
Well, this weekend was Zenkaikon, obviously, and we're going to get into that. And my check cleared for this past week.
Ching.
Yeah, it cleared like Friday, like early Friday morning. So, not that I was hurting for money this past weekend. I mean, I had plenty of cash on me, but I didn't really spend it on anything other than food and Uber rides. And well, my mortgage company sold off my mortgage to a different broker or whatever. So I just have to. I spent the day getting that squared away, so I can just I'm still making my payments. I'm just making it to a different provider now.
Did they say why they did that?
There was like 3 or 4 pages of you know, of like what do you call it? Just like generic, forms, like
Mm-hmm.
explanations and whatnot. I'm like, okay, I'm still paying more than the allotted amount every month, to get ahead of it,
Yeah, that makes
get
sense.
ahead of the interest and whatnot. So that hasn't changed. It is just, you know, an extra step that I don't really think was necessary. But what do I know? I'm not in finance,
Gotcha. Neither am I.
and my vacation is this week. So yesterday and today were definitely spent recuperating from Zenkai.
Yeah, that was kind of like me yesterday, so we'll get into that in just a bit. So, you know.
Hmm.
All right, so my weekend day is basically this is similar, just prepping and getting ready. Oh, and I'll tell you all about my court date that got null and voided, quote unquote.
Canceled.
Something like that. I was going to save this till next week, but I have to go back and do this again, so I'll talk about it again. So,
Okay.
as you all know, if you remember about 6+ months ago, I was looking for a place to live. And I talked to various people and so forth. Evidently, one of these real estate brokers was running a scam. What they ended up doing was they took my ID, put their face on it, and scammed people out of their deposit and first month's rent.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I had no clue of this, so I got a call from a detective back in September, and I didn't think twice about it. Then, actually, what I did was I actually locked down my credit. I locked down the credit and all of that. So if you try to ping it for something, they're like, yeah, no, not gonna happen. All right. So we got that out the way. Then I get another call from another officer, detective about that. I'm just like, no, it's no harm, no foul, whatever. Then I get a text. It might have been from I think this happened around the same day because this woman reached out to me and just asked me about that. Like if I was the one having rooms for it. I was like, nope, not me. Nope, nope, nope. So thankfully, she reached out. So I guess she somehow found my number or something like that and saved herself some stress, which is a good thing. And I appreciate that. Now, we skip ahead about October or so. There are formal letters in the mail from the city. And I look at it and it's a summons to appear in court. And I'm just like, are you effing kidding me? And it's a claim and a summons to appear that to put a judgment against me for X amount of money. All right. I'm like, I'll just deal with this when the time comes. What I didn't realize was the first court case was the first day of my PTO for Zenkaikon. So there I am with my big old suitcase with all of my cosplays and my equipment going up to the courthouse, which they checked my luggage for me. I was like, thank God. And then from there, having to go all the way up to Jersey to meet up with the squad and leave Thursday morning. So, it was like that. Normally, the original plan was to leave Wednesday afternoon, get out there, get the squad, go have sushi, then rest up and make our way. That was the original plan. So, I go into court, and I figured it'd just be an in and out thing. And I kept hearing the theme from Night Court as I sat there and I just waited. Now they split all the things up. You could have your court case spoken before a judge if it gets called in by an arbitrator. And I was just kind of iffy about that because I don't know how this was going to go. So I go. They call my case up. I stand there. The person suing me is absolutely bewildered.
Why is that?
Well, because on the ID that was on the fake ID was a white guy. Yeah. So I explained to the arbitrator that I'm not in real estate. I'm an IT analyst. I don't know who this guy is. And come to find out from looking at the evidence that he kind of showed me, the person he was emailing their email address didn't match up to my name. Now, let's say, he reached out to Ranma Saotome at whatever real estate, something like that. It was DXMG345 at gmail.com. It didn't say DJ Ranma S Real Estate at Gmail, nothing like that. Nothing like that. Then he said he ended up having to wire the money for the deposit. I don't think he's going to see that $4,000 back.
Nope.
I mean, at least if you wrote a check or had a bank check, you could cancel and get your money back one way or another. That you could do. I mean, I already
that money's gone.
Yeah, I feel for this person because when I was apartment hunting, a lot of these places guys were like, look, here's the application, pay the fee, then you can, if you qualify, we could take a look. You can take a look at the apartment. No, motherfucker. I want to see the apartment first. Then I apply. Then I drop the $30 fee or whatever it is. If that ain't gonna happen, you can simply go fuck yourself. So basically, the arbitrator saw that it's basically a mistaken identity, and I explained. I spoke to a detective about it, and I'm like, I don't know what's going. I really didn't know. So basically, I signed a form saying, I'm not liable. Boom, done. That was it. And now
I saw the guy on the ID that I was supposed to be using.
Yes,
that dude looks so generic. I thought he was AI generated.
That's what some people are saying. Some people are saying it's either an AI image. Some are saying it's an image of an actor from the 40s or something like that. Some have asked, like, have they actually seen this person? I don't know. All I know is every person that I have come across when I was renting an apartment, I have seen them. So I wasn't too worried about that. If I could not meet the person while looking at the apartment or everything was all paper or whatever, that shit was not going to happen. So now I got to do this again on April 17th, which is a Thursday. So that's going to be kind of fun. So at least now I know it's going to be pretty chill for the most part. So it'll be in and out, hopefully. So there is that. And then the con, which we would get into. And that was basically my weekend day, I just find it all amazing as fuck all.
I can't imagine what the courthouse security was thinking looking at all your luggage.
No, I explained to him I was going on vacation. I said, I'm supposed to be on vacation, And I'm like, today's the first day. And it's like, and I go, I'm coming from Brooklyn. There's no way I'm going to go all the way back to Brooklyn to grab my luggage and go.
Yeah.
Like I said, they had to check my luggage because there was a camera and a camcorder in the suitcase. And even though they knew I wasn't going to take it out to record anything, but they had to check it. I was like, yes, I'm okay with that. Please check my luggage. I'm okay with that. Please.
Mm-hmm.
So after all of that said and done, I went to the con, and we're going to talk about it in just a bit. So now we're going to get into some housekeeping notes here, which reminds me I'll probably be changing things out on my post-production, hopefully. Want to let you know that episodes of our podcast are available on our YouTube page Thursdays at 12 noon. It's our podcast VODs. Just go to youtube.com/AnimeJamSession, click on podcasts, and the episodes are right there. So definitely check them out. We really appreciate the support. Our next convention most likely will probably be KoguraCon 2025. Normally our next con will be Castle Point, but half of the staff are going to the PGSM Super Live instead. So there's no way we can do both cons. There's no way. There we go. Now after that, so usually the weekend after that is generally KoguraCon. I know that Cinder Night will most likely be there. I haven't decided if I'm going to be there. Don't know how that's going to go, but we'll let you know as time gets a little bit closer. And then we'll let you know, because after KoguraCon, there'll be a 2-week hiatus of the show. Actually, I think it's going to be a 3-week hiatus. I see how the calendar plays out. And the reason why I say 3 weeks is because I am going back to Japan for my birthday. So I'm going to be in Japan for 2 weeks, and it's going to be fun. And I think I kind of overbooked everything that I wanted to do, but everything. I think I only have like 2 things I've really booked as part of the plan. But everything else, we'll just see how it plays out. So, yep, yep. And CC Grey Witch says in our chat room at chat Twitch TV / Anime Jam Session, yay trip. Okay. Now we got that out the way. Let's get into a Geek Roundtable. Geek Roundtable, we talk more about the geekier aspects of our lives and what cool stuff we've been up to. So while Ari talks about his Geek Roundtable, I'm going to go get the one thing that I bought at Zenkaikon that I'm taking to my trip to Japan. So take it away, Ari.
Okay, I would want you to see this because I think it's pretty neat at least. And he's gone. But anyway, I did end up getting another Yahtzee set. Oops. There you are. Anyway, I got a new.
Oh, you don't have to wait for me. You just go.
I know. I was just making sure I had everything. It's
okay.
a Yahtzee set. This one is themed around Back to the Future.
Mm.
So here are the dice. They look kind of yellowish with this little nuclear radiation warning on it.
Yeah, I see that.
For the one. But the best part is that the cup is the flux capacitor. And,
nice.
It's accurate to the movie, but it also lights up.
That is awesome. It kind of reminds me of the flux capacitor I think O'Reilly's was selling for a while that you could put in your car, and it was actually it was just it was like a fancy charger,
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, the cup does look a little bit awkward because you're rolling it out of the back of the of the unit. But yeah, I don't know how much I'm actually going to use this. I'm just going to maybe keep it on the shelf and turn it on every now and then. Besides, I still have my cup ramen, my cup noodle Yahtzee set.
Okay, I forgot you had that.
And as for you?
Okay, so ever since I went to Japan and got back and looked at the prices of things, I've been very finicky on what to buy and what my budget is going to be. I've come to the conclusion that standard figurines that you see every day, I will not pay no more than $30 to $35. Now, let me go ahead and do a bit of a conversion here, all right? Let me open up Google real quick, and I want to let you know. For those of you who don't know, most of the stuff I paid were no more than I think the most I paid for stuff was 4,000 yen, and it was for 2 Eternal Sailor Venus figures. And you all know the story behind that. And that came out to, with tax, about $26. Okay. So now, if I convert, if I'm like $30 to $35 is about 5,258 yen. Now, you have to factor in the figure itself is about $15. So then there's going to be then you got to pay for tax, shipping, import fees. That I understand. So it should come to about $30. Plus, a lot of times you're buying from a small shop, so they got to make a profit one way or another, So that's fine. So anything more than that, I'm just like, nope, not going to happen. So since then, I've been very careful to what I buy. I kind of spend a little bit more money towards like dealers, like Artist Alley and stuff like that. Now, I will buy something out of the dealer's hall if I can't get it in Japan or if I can't find it cheap. I'm like, okay, fine, I'll pay for it here. Now, I did the same thing. I didn't really see much of anything that I wanted to buy because I'm saving my money for Japan. I have a general idea of the stuff that I want to get. But I did spot this hat that I had my eye on part of the day. It was a bucket hat. It is a Luigi bucket hat. Now, yeah, it doesn't fit all the way on my head because of the headphones, but I like the way it looked. So I was wearing it all weekend as I was going around taking pictures. Now, this is something that I'm not going to wear normally because those of you who are watching, you see these headphones? I have the updated versions that I walk around with every single day. So this Luigi bucket hat will be my travel hat when I'm going out places, and I usually will have like my in ear buds that I will pack with me. So I know it'll be something along those lines. So that's the one thing that I bought for myself. So I'm happy about that. Now, as for anime, I watched The Red Ranger in Another World, so I'm up to episode 7. I'm halfway through that. And for those of you who are participating with the show and watching the stream, that's what's on in the background, more or less, in between the Xbox pop ups and stuff like that. So that's why I was watching instead of NCIS if there was a new episode because I didn't get in until late. So that's basically our Geek Roundtable. I just realized that the symbol that the marker didn't go up, so now it just did. All right, now we got that out the way. We are going to talk about Zenkaikon 2025. Now, normally we would run over time because there's 3 of us or 4 of us talking about the convention. So what we're going to do is do of us going back and forth. Plus, what I will do, I will go into the Zenkaikon Facebook group and I will just pick random posts and we'll discuss a couple of them and just see if we think if the con did the right thing or the bad thing. So,
Yeah, because the layout was a lot different this time around.
yes, that was one thing that I did say, and I was like, you know what? I'm perfectly okay with that. All right. So, all right, let me go ahead and kick that over. Let's go ahead and get into ZenkaiCon 2025 Day 0. Let's see if I can have our sound effects going.
There we go.
Perfect, perfect. All right. So generally for us, day 0 is very light, low key. A lot of people come in on day 0 because main reason why I come in on day 0 is I don't want to roll in at 9, 10 o'clock in the morning having to deal with the damn hotel room.
Yeah.
I don't want to rush in the morning. Plus, a lot of people come in on day 0 just to chill and hang out. Plus, the con, if you notice, Zenkai Con started on the 20th. But basically, I meant on Thursday night, there was some panel programming available. So, there is that. So, we get there and relax. I think I take a few photos for the most part. Basically, that's all I did. I walked around and I noticed that the dealer's hall is a lot bigger than last year. I mean, for those of you who have been there, the ground level has always been main events, dealer's hall. Not anymore. That is all the dealer's hall. And it was really spread out. I mean, I don't know if it could have been that big, but it was still good. It was still good. Now, what they did was the second floor, they got rid of the Artemis simulator. So I guess numbers on that died down over the years. So the second floor were panel rooms and security. And that's where they moved the game room. If you remember,
all the way in the far back corner.
Yeah, the far back corner where tabletop was in the front area, and the back and around the corner towards the back were 3 panel rooms. Back there was 1 panel room, and the other 2 was gaming, and that was kind of cool, and I enjoyed that. And I actually was able to get and play some games. I was not able to use any of my game cards, like my Nessica or my EMU's card, because somebody started playing poppin' music. screwed up and walked away. So I just jumped on to finish out their round. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to try to play a fresh round for me because there was someone behind me, so I went about my way. I did up on the third floor. It's usually 3 panel rooms, 3 to 4 panel rooms. Up there was security. I believe there's 2 panel rooms. And usually towards the front area, there was like a cosplay meetup and the panel rooms there. That whole area was main events.
Yeah.
Now, you're probably wondering, well, where did the cosplay meetup go? It went where registration used to be. Now, if you remember when you walked into the actual entrance of the convention center, that's where registration is. Registration moved up to the second floor. And there wasn't really much slowdown with the lines. It looks like was going through pretty quite well. So there is that. Downstairs was cosplay registration, cosplay meetups, and all that other stuff, and it was really nice. And yes, there was the shuttle going back and forth because the Holiday Inn had another main panel area
It
and
had
a
a
couple
lot
others.
of panel rooms over there.
Yeah, and we're gonna get into that in just a bit. So, for me, my Thursday was pretty chill. I don't think we went out for dinner. We actually passed a place called Mission Barbecue and picked up food and just went back to the hotel and relaxed, and that's what we did. And that was basically our Thursday. So it was just very chill, very low key. Now, Ari, tell us about your Thursday. I know this time you decided not to drive, but take the train instead.
Yeah, you got to have a nice chill Thursday. I
Mm,
didn't. So yeah, I decided I got some extra money. I want to do something different. So I figured, okay, I'll take a train over to Lancaster.
mm-hmm.
It's this the station's right there in the city. Short little Uber hop away. By the way, I did kind of get cleaned out on Ubers to and from the train station and home. So there's that.
Well,
And
I mean, the Uber between the hotel and the train station shouldn't have been
that
that.
wasn't that. Oh, that was fine. That was
Yeah, because
especially as money.
you were crossing state lines, so that I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyhow, I get to 30th Street in Philly. Let me adjust this a little bit. I get to 30th Street in Philly.
Mm-hmm.
I get there early enough. I can wait for my train. I'm on business class. They're like, hey, if you're on business class, you can board in at this time. Got at the front car or two. But when I get there, like one of the I guess some workers for the train station put my put my luggage up on a cart with a bunch of others and ferried them off while we got ushered down to the platform.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's good so far. The train ride is nice and quiet, nice and calm. I get to Lancaster. I'm looking around for my bag. It's like, hey, where's the luggage pickup? It's like these, like I get to the luggage area. I see like these are the only 3 bags that were on the train for Lancaster. I'm like, what? So yeah, they misplaced my fucking luggage. I say misplaced and not lost because lost implies it just disappeared into the fucking ether or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going back and forth with Amtrak over the phone, the train station employees there, and I'm like, have filled out the missing parcel report. Like, what does your bag look like? It's big, it's red, it's hard shell, and it has stickers on it. And so it was like an hour and a half or so when they managed to find it, and it turns out it was still on the train. Someone just didn't bother to take it off, and it wound up, uh, I think, in Harrisburg.
Oh, okay. I wonder if it wasn't tagged for Lancaster.
That's the thing. Like, it wasn't tagged because no one said, "Hey, you have to check your luggage and get it tagged." No, someone just came and put it on a cart, and I presumed it would just be there when I got off.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, ugh. Because I was talking to one person there, I was commiserating with you know, their travels. I'm like, yeah, they lost my luggage. I'm like, wow, I would be pissed. I'm like, oh, I am pissed. I'm like, and she was like, oh, you're taking it very well. Yeah, because because I didn't want to blow up on anyone because
Right, right.
motherfuckers are going to record this and be like, watch this fat fuck lose his shit and like on some poor train station employee, that sort of thing. But when they found it, they said, okay, we located. Like I would get a call later, and they, okay, we've located it. We're gonna put it back on a train and go on, like, and we'll be on there on Friday. You just have to wait for our call to get it delivered. So I am in the hotel room with nothing but the clothes on my back, and because didn't have my clothes, didn't have my you know soap, shampoo, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't have my medicine, didn't have my CPAP machine. I'm like, this is gonna be a fun fucking night.
Trust me, I understand what you're going through. I went to visit. I went to Sacramento years ago to hang out with Rob, Jamie, and Matt from OLR. This was for the
Mm-hmm.
4th of July. It was a vacation. My checked luggage went to New Orleans. I think I was more pissed about the fact that when I got it, there were no Mardi Gras beads in there or something like that, even though it wasn't Mardi Gras time. But
You were
thankfully,
expecting that little visual gag to take the edge off a little bit, huh?
yeah. But the thing is, I wasn't too upset because they figured it out right while I was there. It's on. It got put on the. It got put on the wrong plane.
Yeah, mine they put it in the right place. They just didn't bother to you know take it off when the time was right.
Either it got put on the wrong plane, or put it at the wrong, or the wrong check-in or something like that, or whatever. So I mean, I got it the next day, and thankfully Jamie took me to Walmart so I could have some clothes and toiletries for 24 hours. And to this day, I'm still appreciative of that for her. For
Mm-hmm.
that. So.
I ended up having to get Walmart to deliver me some provisions, which
Mm-hmm.
included a bottle of Febreze and some deodorant, because good gut, like sleeping in my underwear, not that big of a deal, but having to keep that same underwear on and put on the same clothes I was wearing the day before, that felt fucking gross.
See, what I would have done was I would have just gotten deodorant, soap, underwear, undershirt, and I would have just hung everything up and Febreze everything. I also would have gotten myself a pair of sweatpants.
Oh, the Febreze was a miracle worker that
Yeah.
whole weekend. I, I, I mean, thankfully the shower in the hotel room had little dispensers for
Yes.
shampoo,
Mm-hmm,
conditioner, and
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
body wash. So,
Yes.
I mean, and to think, there are some people who go to cons who don't shower all fucking weekends.
I
So,
know those are the ones that usually they spend money on everything, but they don't have a place to stay. So
not that they don't have a place to stay, they just don't bother, taking care of themselves.
that too.
So yeah, after I shower, I had to Febreze everything down. Again, I still felt gross doing that, but like the luggage actually got back to me like an hour ahead of schedule because they said around 3 o'clock, and I got the call around 1:30. So okay, your bag is here.
See, here's the thing that makes no sense to me. If they
Uh-huh.
located where the bag was, why couldn't they send it back out? I mean, you mean to tell me there were
You mean
no?
immediately?
Yeah, you mean to tell me there were no more trains from Harrisburg going back to Philly?
Or at least stopping in the area?
Yeah. And as Bonds Double Six says, we males are simple creatures. Soap, water, a shave, and clean clothes, and we will mostly look good and feel good. I just threw in the feel good part. So,
Uh-huh.
and the thing is, whenever I travel like to Jersey to hang out with anybody, I always and I have to throw my luggage underneath the bus. Sometimes in the back of my mind, I keep thinking that some crackhead or whatever is gonna make their way over and pull my luggage and steal it. And I'm just like, they're to steal. I mean,
I'm more surprised if they would, burrow into the luggage compartment of a bus, but whatever.
uh, with if they were, I don't think there's any air circulation down there.
Hmm.
Plus, you have luggage, so depending on how you are, you could really get hurt.
Yeah.
I think I was traveling somewhere. I was traveling back from somewhere. And I think I was hanging out with Mako, and I had taken my work phone and shoved it into one of my bags, and I'm just like, where did I put my work phone? And I'm tracking it on my personal, and it's following me. So I'm like, it's either abandoned somewhere under the bus, but lo and behold, it wasn't in my book bag. It was in my carry-on bag in one of the side pockets. So I was like, thank God for that. And when I went to Japan, I actually bought this Galaxy tag, and I was checking it here and there, and I just got kind of giddy just seeing it follow along on the map. I'm just like, okay, cool. It's going from Route A to Route B. Side note, if you're going to go to Japan and you're going to be there for a bit, you know you're going to be going from hotel to hotel, a luggage service is great. $20, say no more.
Yeah, sleeping that night without
Mm-hmm.
the on the pull out bed with the without a CPAP was I mean, I wasn't like popping up at awake every every 30 minutes, but I did wake up and I feel like I had something like lodged in the back of my throat, like
Mm-hmm.
for like the entire morning. No
Got you.
amount of like clearing my sinuses or my throat would dislodge it.
Got you. Got you.
But yeah, I don't think I'm gonna take the train anymore. Maybe just I probably would end up spending the same amount of money if I had just driven there and just paid the gas and the tolls and whatnot.
Was your ticket over or under 100?
Oh, it was like 39 some odd dollars each way.
Well, that was cheap for business class.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought you paid at least 100 each way.
Oh, I wouldn't need like. Oh, I would have never paid that much for a train ticket through for such a short
I
distance.
mean, the most I've paid for a train ticket is about $110 because I used to date somebody out in Lancaster. So, and thankfully, I'd always get my ticket like a month in advance. I wouldn't pay that much. So that's why I
Hmm.
was kind of confused about your luggage because I didn't know you had gone business class. Because I just get a regular ticket, just roll my happy ass onto the Amtrak, plop down in a seat, and my luggage is right next to me. So,
The business class is just a little more comfortable.
okay, fair enough, fair enough. All right, now that we got that out the way, let's get into Zenkaikon Day 1. Now, I've already explained the layout of the convention center. I've already given you a brief layout of the Holiday Inn. So, let's get it. Let's get it popping. All right. So, first thing was my Twitch 101 panel. And when I walked in, it was packed. I mean, it wasn't a full house, but it was full. And by the time the panel was over, it was like 2/3 full. So to everybody who came by and checked out my panel, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And I will have the updated PowerPoint presentation up on my personal blog at djronmess.net later this week. I just need to just go ahead and upload and take care of some things. Now, what made my panel different from other people who are talking about Twitch streaming? Most people who do like a Twitch streaming panel tell you about the software, how to set up your scenes and all of this and all of that. Now, here's the thing. You want a Twitch stream. How much is it going to cost me? This is about the initial startup cost on the equipment that you need to do a Twitch stream. And I fielded a few questions about what type of microphones are good to use because of outside noise. Well, what if I want to just jump right in and just go top of the line? Where to promote my stream, like all that type of stuff. Basically, my panel was about the hardware that you need. Explain briefly what is a podcast, what is a Twitch stream, and some examples of equipment that you can use in order to stream. And And from what I can tell, I'm going to revamp this and do a good, better, best system. Now, one thing about my panel, it's not the end all. I'm just giving you examples of what you can use because I know there are other people who are on YouTube and Twitch who talk about this on the regular. There's a few videos out there you could talk about where they talk about what equipment that you need. Prime example of somebody good if you want to know about different types of equipment for streaming is Epox Vox. He's somebody I recommend. Now, Bonzo06 says you could do a panel for photography just the same. No, I don't see myself doing a panel on photography. I don't think I'm well versed in doing that as compared to Twitch streaming. Because I found a niche in on that. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to revamp my PowerPoint presentation again, and probably for ShikariCon, if we go, I'm going to do a panel about that. And I'm seriously thinking about doing a panel about going to Japan for the very first time. So, you want to go to Japan. Well, here's what you need to know. And I think I'm going to really zero in on that after my trip, because I know I can do something pretty decent with that. And also remember, when you go to a con, don't be too surprised if you see similar panels across the whole weekend. It could be how the panel is done and who is hosting it, such as there was a Hetalia Q&A panel at a con, and at the same con they had the Hetalia World Summit. The Q&A panel was more or less about what is Hetalia, what the anime is, and stuff like that. The World Summit was more like people cosplaying Hetalia and doing a UN meeting of sorts in a comedy way. Or like there are debate panels. Hold on for a second here. Yeah, there are debate panels where you have people come up debating back and forth about certain topics, or the topics are already preset and people already reset and they're debating and you watch. So that was it. Serenity 041088 says, wait, back up, a Hetalia panel in 2025? Anything's plausible, but this was a few years ago. I'm just throwing this out there as an example. So after that, I walked around and did some photography. And, and one of the things I've learned from my years of photography is that I'm not going to overstress myself trying to get everybody's photo. I'm just being very casual about it, and that I'm very thankful for. Now, I did the autograph session for Lizzie Freeman for a friend, and I took care of that. I was not able to do the other panel for my friend, like the autograph, but things happened. Later that day, I went to the Idol Fest called Octavius Idol Fest. It was hosted by Barracuda Cosplay. And I really enjoy my idol festivals. I know over recent years, like, look, for those of you who don't really know, the reason why a lot of conventions now have idol festivals because of the sheer number of people who submit idol skits in a masquerade. I mean, you can't have 5 people doing the same Love Live song and the same choreograph. Even though you're doing different outfits, it's still the same thing. And I know there has been controversy with that because people want to compete with that, but you really can't. Look, if you really want to do a Love Live thing and compete, go to Castle Point. Last year's Best in Show bought their outfits, and it was perfectly okay. Which is like, all right.
Kind of a taboo for cosplay contests.
Mm-hmm. So, that was really, I went and checked that out, and I watched it, and it was great. I thoroughly enjoyed that. One girl did Megan Thee Stallion, and I was just like, why? Megan Thee Stallion is not idol. She does rap music. It's not like you were in there doing. It's not like it was a D4 DJ, which there was a Peaky group during the masquerade that was kick ass, but I'll hold off on that. It's not like it was that or um the, there's a rap anime something Mike. I can't remember the title of it because I know a second season just came out. Let's see, rap anime. Mike rap anime. Hypnosis Mike, yes. It wasn't like it was Hypnosis Mike. That, and I think if you were doing something like that, that will fall under Idol. So, Bond006 says she is a performer, but not an idol. Correct, good sir. So there was that. Then me and CC Graywich, we went to the formal ball, which was nice. And they actually played the opening theme to Sailor Star Song, which was kind of surprising, It's that was one song I was not expecting to hear. Now, something interesting happened that night. And I'm going to backtrack a little to earlier today. And I'm not sure we talked about this on our DerpyCon podcast, but what happened was there was a creeper at DerpyCon who eventually had their badge pulled. Kept saying he didn't do anything wrong. Tried to come to me for help. I'm like, no, I'm not going to help you on this one. Nope. Not going to happen. So I saw this guy early on.
He was here.
Yeah. And first thing I did was I went to security and I told them, and I showed them a picture, and they were like, oh, we know of him. Now, I want you all to know something. If you see a creeper at a convention, they cannot kick the creeper out. Not until he has done something. Now, I think the only exception to that rule is if multiple people come up and say what this person did at a prior convention or whatever, then they could probably do something about that. So, in the meantime, they have to just be careful. So, I found out while I was talking to, while he was trying to talk and do his, whatever he calls, flirting with women, I'm standing behind him, doing the whole, hand underneath the neck, like, nope, don't. And if he got a little bit closer, I probably would have just barged right in and been like, hey, let me da. When he walked away, I explained to a couple of those girls what had happened and just be careful. Come to find out, he had his routine of meeting a girl, talking to her, wanting to give a high five, which pulls into a hug and other things. If you do something like that, that's not consent. That's assault.
And gross.
Yes.
That's besides the point.
Yeah. So after the masquerade and he was there walking around, people were keeping tabs on him. The girls I was talking to felt uncomfortable. One of them, while we were talking, said, excuse me, and basically shouted at him to go away because he was standing behind us. And his answer was, no, I want to talk to the photographer right here. And I turned, I'm like, oh, there ain't nothing for you to talk to me about. Go away, please. And interesting timing, the head of safety happened to come by, and let's just say everything was handled. So even with the help of the police, his badge got pulled.
Which is like the second time it's happened to him.
Yeah, but the difference is the first time it happened, his badge got pulled on a Sunday at the end of the con. This time, his badge got pulled on a Friday night, and the cops got involved because he was trying to go back to the Marriott. This guy lives in Pennsylvania. There's no, he didn't have a room here.
Oh, well, tough shit.
And I didn't see him at all the rest of the weekend. Thank God. So I went back. Now, there was a couple of other things that I wanted to check out, such as Cosplay for Your Life, a lip sync showdown. I didn't get to check that out. That's fine. If they put it at a different time next year, I will see about looking into that. Now, manly battleships, I don't have any issues with them. I
They're a
don't.
lot of fun.
Yeah, that's what
They
I
do fun
generally
stuff.
hear. But their 21 plus panel, I think, is a no go. Their 21 plus panel is basically adults sipping adult beverages from the bar, doing like trivia and stuff like that. That's not my thing. Now, 2, 3 years ago, Zenkaikon had like this awesome club event going over at Telus where you can get your drink on and you can get your dance on and all of that. That's what I'm talking about. There should be Club Zenkaikon, 21 plus, dressed to impress. There's a dance floor, there's drinks, there's tables. Have a little section if somebody wants to do other things, like a mini nerd bar for God's sakes. That's what I want to see. That's what I was wanting. Something like that. Where if you didn't want to dance with somebody on the dance floor, there was a bunch of tabletop games in the corner. You could grab one, grab friends, and play them together. That would have been cool. Now, I'm going back on my phone. Probably why my audio is slightly off. Because I want to pull up something else here on a Friday that I happen to stop by and take a look at. And I assume this panel happened because this person has carte blanche with the convention, and his name is Awesomeness Prime. Now I'm not gonna sit here and talk about his music. He's a good DJ. I like it. I like his music. But when he's there DJing every year, it gets tedious. One of the things I miss about Anime Next and Otakon, no, liked about Anime Next and Otakon, they would have different DJs playing different sets and so forth. That was cool. That I liked.
Yeah, I'll definitely give him that.
So what he did was Otaku no Tai Tai rap battles and main events. Basically, ciphers. And for those of you who don't know the lingo of cipher, a cipher battle is basically when you're rapping at each other back and forth. If you ever seen 8 Mile, that's an example of a cipher. I popped in. Maybe I didn't give it enough time, but I really wasn't impressed by what I heard. And the main event wasn't even that full.
Their bars are kind of trash, in other words.
Something like that. That did not have to be in main events. They could have stuck that over at the Holiday Inn. They could have stuck that in another panel room. It was not. It was not.
It wasn't that good.
No, it was not. I legitimately was not impressed at all.
Hmm.
Now the cosplay on Friday was great. I enjoyed it. I did run into Stardust Megu. This was her first Zenkai, and she said she had a great time. So I'm hoping she does come back. I actually reconnected with a couple of people while I was there, which was a good thing. I have yet to post like those personal photos up on the group pages, which I will probably do, if not tonight, tomorrow. We'll see how that goes. I haven't decided if I want to do one massive post of just selfies and then the photos I took that are going to go on my Instagram later or vice versa. I might just do two separate posts and just see how that goes. So, overall, my Friday was pretty good. I really couldn't complain at all, more or less. My only complaint, which we will get into, well, that main complaint we'll get into later in the show. So, that was my Friday. How was yours, Ari?
My Friday was pretty decent,
Mhm.
except for the start of it, obviously.
Right, right.
Uh, I did, I did have a little trouble walking around because my body was just incredibly sore from head to toe. That's why you saw me walking with a cane.
Mm-hmm.
I usually don't, I mean, I usually can walk around just fine, but like times like this when I know I'll be doing a lot of walking, like, okay, maybe I should take this just in case.
Mm-hmm.
But they were kind enough to give me the priority seating
Yeah.
ribbon. The ribbon wars were insane this weekend. Like people,
Yeah.
but enough of that. Um, you know, walking down to the like what do you call it? The shuttle. There we go. The shuttle was
Hmm.
they were nice and clean and
It
efficient
was
getting over
fancy.
there. Huh?
It was fancy.
Yeah. Though, like I said, it was at the complete opposite end of the convention center, like down where the old uh, registration area was.
Right.
I'm like, oh man, they just a bit. Anyway, I did spend a good amount of time over there. One of it, for a couple panels and some
Hmm.
tabletop gaming.
What kind of tabletop gaming did you do?
Saturday, like this is Saturday, but
Oh, okay. The
there's
way we'll save that for Saturday then. I thought you
yeah,
did some on Friday.
tried to. There weren't many takers when
Oh,
I
okay.
got there. It wasn't as full as some other days.
Okay.
Anyway, there was a name that nerd tune at 10 o'clock, which is pretty much just a little guessing game for various anime and cartoon and whatnot openings.
Was it like
And other
teams or people just shouting it out from the audience?
uh, there was people raising their hand to get called on,
Mm-hmm.
but the person calling on it was like their like attention would be like all over the place. So like you'd be like have your hand up and like a second later they'd pick someone next to you who only barely had their hand, and I'm like, what the fuck? Whatever. Uh, and then after that was a little while after it was a panel on chronic illness at cons,
Yes,
which
yes.
is people who need mobility devices full time, who've had various other kind of afflictions and conditions that they have to live with, and how it affects their convention going experience, which was very insightful. I didn't have like obviously they were in a lot worse shape than me, with the things they were dealing with, but it's insightful. And then after that, like I said, around 1:30 or so, I got the call that my luggage luggage was in, and around 2ish, I go back to I arrive back at this train station,
Mm-hmm.
finally get my luggage, and finally get back to the hotel and unpack. And I'm just like, thank fuck. But yeah, first thing I did was after putting everything in the drawers was change into my bathing suit and go down to the pool,
Mm-hmm.
which I am so glad was open again. Because like the past 4 or 5 years, it just hasn't been open. It was either under maintenance or they just decide, hey, the pool's closed, and without any further statement. The hot
Totally
tub
get it.
wasn't working. Maybe next year. But yeah,
Okay.
it felt so good to, just jump in the pool and float around and swim for a while.
Well, damn. Side
What?
note: Game Informer is back.
Where'd you hear that?
I'm reading about it on IGN.
Oh,
It's a brand new owner, so because remember, Game Informer was a part of FuncoLand, the Fun Club. That's where Game Informer started. And then when it became GameStop, it was still part of that. Now it shut down. Now it's a brand new owner bringing it back, which I think is absolutely amazing.
hmm. So anyway, was it? Yeah, it was on Friday where I got a late, like I guess an early dinner, I suppose you
Mm-hmm.
could call it. And it was at this place. I ordered off DoorDash. It was called Dio, spelled Diyo.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, yes, it is. Steve Howlak, I probably mispronounced that. Said best relief for the travel legs. Mine swell in the car. Okay. Anyway, this place was a Himalayan fusion restaurant, and I didn't order too much, just a couple like steamed dumplings and
Mm-hmm.
this chicken and rice dish where the chicken was served in this I looked at the description. It was this tomato and onion sauce, like which you can adjust the spiciness how you want. I just went medium. And when I was eating it in a room, like the others are like, or also marking over like, oh wow, that smells amazing. And I was just like, yeah, take a bite and I was like, oh, this shit's good.
Mm-mm.
I'm like this place better be here next year because I want to try some other stuff. Because, but yeah, like this, like I'm gonna drive myself nuts trying to find a recipe and recreating that because it was good.
Very nice, very nice.
Hmm.
Also,
And some of the other panels I went to, the Awesomeness Showdown, which the hentai edition,
mm,
which yeah, Awesomeness Prime was running. Have you ever seen it?
I think I saw the regular one once. That was okay. It was all right.
Yeah, I went to the 18 one, which was the same thing, only you know, power perversion potential.
Hmm.
Though I will say this, he did have the foresight to remove any minor characters from the character deck
Yeah.
because obviously they didn't want minors in that sort of situation. Because like someone like is like pulling out some of the cards like okay, it's like on you forger, and everyone just started booing.
Exactly.
uh, so yeah, that was fun.
All right.
And then just ended up going back to the room, hanging out, watching shit on YouTube,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, just recuperating. So yeah, like the rest of Friday was actually kind of fun.
That's good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, it was a good recovery.
Just updating something real quick. All right. So let's get into day 2,
Mm-hmm.
which is Saturday. For those of you who are not paying attention. Oh, okay. So, day 2. Now, like I said, I spent the bulk of it just walking around the convention center, just doing photos and trying to meet up with people that I possibly could, you know. But sometimes I cannot because I get sidetracked by certain things. So,
Honestly, it feels like you're ADHD with people sometimes.
sort of. Like at 1 o'clock, I was planning to go to the Alice in Borderland panel, but the people I was hanging out with Friday night with that one creeper, they were having an impromptu Demon Slayer shoot, and they were worried that this guy was going to show up. I said, I'll be there. Don't worry about it. I will be there.
Got to run interference on this motherfucker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was basically the only other panel I was planning to go. But I did stop by and check out Super Art Fight. This is the first time I checked it out. I really liked it. That was fun.
They also do good work.
So after that, I went to the Masquerade. Now, Masquerade should be no more than 2 hours tops. And that not counting shepherding everybody in. I would honestly, around 5:30, 5:45, you start letting people in, start the show at 6. By 7:30, 7:45, you have the award ceremony and you send people on their merry little way. My goal was to do the Masquerade, order dinner, meet up with a friend, and then we were just gonna go hit up the dance party, or whatever you want to call it. That got pushed off by an hour because the Zenkaikon Masquerade went over by almost an hour. There was 15 additional skits. Now, normally Zenkaikon has about 20 skits, 25 tops. Sometimes they'll have a group doing a non-competitive skit to help buy time for the judges or some type of event going on. But this time, after they had the skits and performances, they had the walk-ons. Then they announced the winners of the Hall cosplay. Then they announced the winners of the actual masquerade. Now, usually every year I have a problem with who wins what because I didn't think it was deserving of that prize. I don't have that this year. Everybody who won, it was well deserved. It was like everyone put their just showed up with their A game. There wasn't a skit I did not like. They were all great, you know. I really enjoyed the Peaky Peaky skit because I'm an idol music person myself. The Doki Doki Literature Club skit was one of the few dramatic skits I've seen that was really good. And there was a the flags when people do flag performances.
Mm-hmm.
There was one to Trigun called Trigun IRL. That one was nice. Now there were a couple of idol skits in here. There was one, I think it was Ruby and Hanamaru, where they were discussing practices or whatever, and they were doing the routine. Something like that was great. That was doing something a little bit original. I liked that. So after that, I got some dinner. I went down to the bar for a couple of drinks and met up with a friend. Then we went to the dance, which was only there. We were only there for 15 minutes because it ended at 1 a.m. Most times, the dance ends at 2. I don't know why it ended at 1. So we all just hung out in the lobby till about 3:30 in the morning. And, a couple of people came by with some alcohol, and we talked. I was cosplaying Garterbell, walking around with the communal rum, asking if anybody wanted some. And I was talking to a couple of people about tech careers and stuff. And there was this one girl who was cosplaying Mitsuri. I gave her my contact info, and I told her, send me your resume so I could take a look and see if there's something available at my job. Can't make any promises, but at least there's something. Now, I would say outside my main gripe, Saturday was pretty good. It could have been better because I honestly felt like Saturday there was outside a super art fight, it was a lull in panels. There was nothing interesting for me to take a look at and go to. That was my Saturday.
Different strokes, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I get that. But when there are multiple people you're talking to that day saying the same thing, maybe you need to kind of look at something.
Uh-huh. Shall I tell you about my Saturday?
Yeah, go on. It's all you.
Okay, well, you know, I didn't. I did some more panels that day. I mean, I also spent some time, gaming, walking around the video gaming room. That was pretty fun. Got some good competition with you know, Third Strike and some Marvel Capcom
Mm.
2. For a little while at least. I just want to move on. What I wanted to do at first was take part in the King of Tokyo tournament in the board gaming room,
Mm-hmm.
which apparently there was some kind of a like personal issue with one of the officials or whatever that it got pushed back, and I was just hanging around the board game room for a little while, not doing much of anything.
Mm.
Occasionally sifting through some of the games, see which ones
Right.
looked interesting or maybe like I would want from on my shelf if I or got double check that I don't already have. Definitely, I don't want to end up with multiple copies of the same game if I don't have to. And one of the things I discovered was a Ticket to Ride New York City edition,
Mm.
which is a scaled down version of the main game. Like it's only like one third the size, and like I said, it takes place entirely in New York City. There's also a separate version for London, but I ended up playing the former one with a couple other people. So like, hey, if you like Ticket to Ride, you'll probably like this. I'm like, yeah, it was fun. I mean, it's pretty close, and decided at the last move or so, which a lot of fun. I might end up picking it up later. I don't know. I showed it to you because you would stop by as well while you were
Yeah.
in the area. And let's see what else happened. Oh, I also went to this another game show panel, which was a reinstated reincarnation, a game show about isekai,
Mm-hmm.
which is the panelists would present a summary of an isekai, up on the PowerPoint, and it have like handful of contestants at a time for each little round, and like which part of the synopsis is false, and you didn't have to know anything about the actual anime itself. You just had to figure out which one is wrong, like which one like doesn't quite click with the the rest of the thing. It's like
Mm-hmm.
as soon as like, oh wait, he's not actually sorry that it's happened. He's gleefully tearing shit up, or like I do remember one of them was a the isekai about the vending machine. Like, what can this
Vending machine reincarnated the world as a vending machine. What's kind of interesting is from time to time on OLR when they talk about upcoming games, and a lot of times Rob has to deal with upcoming games that are anime game titles, and he's like this, and sometimes he'll say this has got to be a fucking anime or something like that, and I respond with, yes, it is a fucking anime. And when he mentioned reincarnated as a vending machine, he kind of went slightly off the rails while we're in the chat talking about it, and Mike Def is like, fuck isekais, and I'm just like, damn, dude, what did they ever do to you?
Tell us how you really feel, man.
I know, right? But
I mean, I can't say I don't share his sentiment, but anyway, like the one with the vending machine was like, which is not the vending machine's powers, and I forget which one it was because I did horribly at that one, didn't get any points, and we all just got some candy as a consolation prize. So after like bouncing around the panel a little longer, I went to Children Driving Robots' unlicensed anime panel, which is a review of various animes that are out of print, aren't being streamed anywhere, or don't have a proper physical release. And there's a couple ones I did recognize. I think Love Hina was one of them. We both I and one of the panelists were super happy that we discussed Naruma Daikon Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
And I think some of the like one of the Cutie Honey movies didn't get licensed.
Yeah, I think it was the live one that didn't get licensed. Some shit like that.
But it was a lot of fun, very informative. And I ended up eating at the Plow, the hotel's restaurant bar, and a little pricey, but it wasn't too bad. I was also in the middle of my Ozempic episode, so I couldn't eat a whole lot anyway. I couldn't bring myself to eat too much without feeling sick, so that was that I had to deal with that like for a good part of the weekend. And other than that, the Saturday was a lot better from start to finish.
Okay.
Especially compared to the day before.
And I totally get that. Totally.
Mm-hmm.
Now we'll get into Zenkaikon Day 3.
Mm-hmm.
evidently I have to click it twice in order for it to play, which makes absolutely no sense. So now Sunday was a bit of, was more quiet. We ended up spending more time, waiting for the hotel to get the proper key to get our luggage so we could throw it into Grey Witch's car. Normally, we don't, unless it's a local convention, we don't stay until the end because we are traveling. So usually we're out by 2 o'clock, and I usually get about 200 photos then. Um, I did another run through of the dealer's hall, ran into a couple of people I knew, and had a chill conversation with them. I didn't do any panels on Sunday. We were supposed to interview Lex Lang, but I thought it was at 1 o'clock. It was at 9:30 in the morning. Whoops! I am so sorry. Yeah, and I was going to do the Down to Dawn panel at 10 o'clock, but that didn't happen either.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say Sunday was still a good day. I also stopped by Wild Bill's and got some soda. I got strawberries and cream and threw in a splash of lemonade. Quite tasty.
Did you get one of the rubber cups, the rubber lids to put over the cups?
Yeah. What it is, I have the older, their standard mugs, not the shapely ones where the rubber lid fits plop on top, whereas the standard one, it just kind of falls right. It falls right into the right inside the container. Now we have a question here in our chat room here at Twitch TV/Anime Jam Session. STIJ Hayoak asks, do they have any sales in the dealer's room on Sundays? Yes and no. You
Some
go
places do.
you go back a few years ago. Go way, way back a few years ago. On Sunday, people had signs that they were doing deals left and right because
They didn't want to haul that shit back with them.
exactly. Nowadays, not so much because they just drop right out with the deals. Because remember, if they have a retail store, it's a set price. If they're at a con, the price is the
It's
price
a little looser.
no, the price is marked up a little bit, and then there's a discount they'll put around like instead of this box it costing 35, the box is going to cost you 45, but there's a special. You buy these two box sets, you get 20% off or something like that. They won't advertise it. Some will say, yes, I'm doing a special. Others, not so much. I would say this. Maybe show up with cash.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll just get the same price whether it's cash or credit.
Mm-hmm.
So, I can't remember. It's been a while since I went hunting for deals. Generally, for me, my deal was the Amazon $7 deal. If I could find the item within above or below $7 on Amazon, then I would order it directly from Amazon. That would be one less thing for me to take home. And I would get Amazon reward points. That was my deal. Now it's more like it's got to be under a certain price point, or else it's no deal at all. I tell you what, though, there are a lot of like model figures, bunny figures that are going between $300 and $500. You could probably negotiate a price on those. So, all right. So that was my Sunday, and after that, we hopped in the car. We had sushi, dropped everybody off. I relaxed on Monday, came home because I was not rushing it. So What about you, Ari?
I took my time getting everything together on Sunday morning because, I knew when I had to leave for the train station, and I wasn't planning on doing anything because there wasn't
Mm-hmm.
much interesting for me. And like when the time came, I just hopped in an Uber, went over to the train station, made a very poignant point to go get my baggage checked and take the little ticket with me because I don't want a repeat of that of
Mm-hmm.
going down there.
Mm-hmm.
and just got on the train when it came, and it was a lot more crowded when I like going back than it was coming over.
Not surprised.
hmm When I got back, you know, didn't have any problem getting off the train, getting my luggage. The only problem I did have was trying to find an Uber because the traffic was bad in the area. As it turns out, uh, there was a huge car accident. Apparently, a car had fallen off of an overpass onto the
Ooh,
highway below, face down,
ooh.
and it was causing a tie up going one way for just miles.
You know what you should do next time? If
Drive
you're
up there and not take the train, but that's
well,
another point.
yeah, that's also a good point. But I was just saying, next time if you time it right, just take the SEPTA from 30th Street to Trenton and just catch a lift from there.
hmm Um, but other than that, it was just like the traffic, going into Jersey was slow because people were stopping to look at it.
Or just take if you do take the train, take it from Trenton to Lancaster.
We'll see,
Yeah.
because it's over an hour for me to drive from home to Lancaster to Trenton,
Mm.
where it's only like 15, 20 minutes to get into Philly.
I keep forgetting you're that close.
Uh-huh. And this the day after that, I just spent the day just recuperating. I mean, I
Same.
recovered a little bit, better than I
Mm.
usually did. I don't have to use the cane anymore, and
That's good.
well, just I and I've just been spending the past 2 days on my vacation, just relaxing and getting what little shit around here done that I need to get done.
Yeah, usually it takes me a couple of days to unpack everything. I was unpacked in under an hour. All of my cosplays that need to be washed are in a pile in the corner.
hmm
Everything else is like it's back in my heavy duty suitcase, and it'll store right there until I can find another place to put all of that. Or what will happen is when I travel, all my cosplays I don't take, I'll just put in a pile on my bed so I know to pack it back in there with the with a dryer sheet, whatever, you know. Okay, so one of the main things people were complaining about was the fact that they had to go to the Holiday Inn. I didn't really hear that much of a issue last year because I guess the main thing over there was just a couple of panel rooms and the game room. But this time the game room was here at the Marriott. Karaoke was across the street at Telus, which is a club. They did it there. Now, between that and the people complaining about the lack of decent programming on Saturday, I think Zenkai needs to kind of reevaluate the Saturday programming, reevaluate the programming, and see what's good and what's not. I had an issue on the press side. Emails about interviews didn't go out till about a week before the convention, and the initial email ended up in my junk bin.
That's not good.
I know that made absolutely no sense. So but when they responded back, it came through. I was just like, well, what is this? You know? So, anywho, I mean, it could have been. I think there's a new person running press, and now it's now the marketing department, and press falls underneath that. I absolutely abhor that. I get where they're going from. Anything that is related to promotion of the convention falls under marketing. I'm a still believer of press should be its own department and not fall under anything else. That's
hmm
just me. And another thing was we had to submit questions in advance. Now there was that one year from Monica Rial that you had to submit questions because of the drama that was going on. That I totally get. But for this, I'm like, I explained, I usually do not show up with questions. I just ask like two or three generic ones and I just run them based off the answers that I get.
We go off vibes most of the
Exactly.
time.
Yeah, that's how we do it. But I may look into having like a card that says anime jam session card of questions and just running the list or something like that. And sort of like how when I do the post edit, you see question one pop up at the bottom or something like that. Well, enough about that. It is, and that's that. I've always said that Zenkaikon is a good convention to start the year off with. Unless you're a serious cosplay competitor, you want to start with Katsucon. There is some good major competition here at Zenkai, but if you're looking to stay more within anime, you want to start at Katsucon. If you want to go up against anime, cartoons, sci-fi, geeky shows, all this stuff, that's what you're going up against. You're going to basically test your mettle with that. I will always say Zenkai is a great starting convention. And I will have to say, because they moved the main events up to the third floor, the first floor wasn't as crowded. And somehow, with registration on the second floor, it wasn't as crowded either. Also, unfortunately, DeathCon Multimedia wasn't there this year. And they had another company come in called the Free Photo Studio. If you've ever been to Castle Point, those people. I popped in for a bit. I mean, I wasn't impressed with the setup that they have because at Castle Point, they have multiple backdrops and so forth. So here, not so much. Or if they had the multiple backdrops, I didn't see them. So it's fine. It is what it is. I'm not too worried about that. I don't go and get my pictures professionally taken or anything like that. So. But I will continue to say Zenkaikon is a good con to start things off at and have a good time because there's not many conventions that you can go to and meet friends, have a good time, not walk that far for good food. I'm not talking junk food, I'm talking actual good, tasty food. Hell, there's an Irish bar right next to the hotel. I mean, you can't beat that.
Mm-hmm.
So, I would say outside of the programming snafu and the fact that everybody's complaining about having to go to the Holiday Inn, I give it 4 out of 5 stars. What about you, Ari?
Yeah, I'm up there with you, but like I said, my experience is a little different because of my issue with the train. I just know I'm not going to take a train up there again.
Mm.
So yeah, I mean, it's a good way to start the year, our convention year.
Mm-hmm.
They have to
Now,
do something really egregious to alienate me. So
yeah, I hear that. Now, from time to time, I will, throughout the weekend, I will pop into the Zenkaikon Facebook group and just see what is up and what's going on. Like, any issues or stuff like that. Right now, people are asking, "Oh, what cons are you going to next?" Or have you seen me in this cosplay or this or that? Or looking to meet up with this person or that person? Or share your cosplay IG name and so forth.
yeah, usual
Mm.
post convention
We see one post
stuff.
of like, who has the Zenkaikon blues or PCD post con depression? I cannot. It's been years since I've ever had post con depression because I don't mind going back to work. I'm nerdy at the convention. I'm nerdy at work. I mean, I'm okay with everything across the board. Let's see, what else do we have here? Not stock up on prescription contacts. Shout out to the Holiday Inn. All right, now here's something here that popped up. Do not bring pets into the dance hall or the con in general.
Why
Okay,
would people do that?
this is what was said. What service was the dog performing by being carried through a dense crowd and put on the floor near front close to the DJ? No headphones for the dog. That's so loud and cannot be good for the dog or ethical. People almost stepped on this poor animal.
Yeesh.
100%, if you want to come to the dance, bring your service animal. But a good handler would stay off to the side for a bit for the protection of the animal and be decent enough for headphones or some kind of protection.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Hmm. These are people who have like their emotional support animals. And, 9 times out of 10, they go online and buy the vest and throw it on there. And that ESA is not even a real ESA. It's just because.
Yeah, they even say like one of the signs I saw is like no emotional support animals.
I've seen a couple people with their dogs. They weren't emotional support. They were actual service dogs.
Yeah, those are just
Yeah.
fine.
And as the head of accessibility for Zenkai said, we cannot prohibit a service dog from any areas that other members are permitted to go to. We are permitted to ask if the dog is a service animal and trained to assist with the disability and what that task is. Unless the service dog is being disruptive or aggressive, it is up to the owner to handle their service dog properly. This is all per Pennsylvania and federal law.
Hmm.
I would say, if someone's going to show me just show papers that it's a service dog. That's it. Because I think that has to happen. You got to have type of papers that are doing that. And why? And also, my thing is, why would you do that? Why? And you're towards the front of the rave. It's one thing if you want to go to the rave and have a good time and enjoy the music, but there's no need to be all the way into the front. It's almost like when people go to the rave, you see that they brought their child or their toddler with them. I'm just like,
what the fuck?
no, I've seen that a few times. I've seen that a few times.
A few times too many from the sound of it.
Mm-hmm. All right, and there was something else here that I thought I wanted to mention. Let's see. Mostly was talking about videos and photos. Have you seen us and so forth? Upcoming conventions. Someone said how Zenkaikon. How many times you went? I think I've gone at least 10+ years. So, and from looking at the comments, I kind of wish I had been more social with a lot of people because I've really enjoyed myself. So I know there was, like I said, there was something else. Oh yeah, someone complained about not getting a seat to watch the masquerade.
Uh, Seating's going to be at a premium there. What did you think was going to happen?
Yeah, there's a reason why if the masquerade starts at 6, people start lining up at 5.
Yeah, at the very earliest.
Yes. Listen, I know there are some conventions where you can get where they have a VIP and you can jump the line early, which is understandable. You VIP, you pay for that. You have specialty seats for that. You're golden. You're good to go. Let's see what else. Maybe let's see. Yeah, I was one of those who forgot to get pictures of myself as I was running around, but I really didn't cosplay. But the main thing was, getting a seat. Look, if you want to go to the masquerade, get there at least a half hour early. And I would have to say, unlike this person who believes that the main event was smaller than last year's, I think it was about the same size. So, it's it, and that's that. All I know is I have about over 800 photos that I need to edit and post online. So that's going to be fun. All right. And that's and we have a comment here. I wish the masquerade had a live feed. Well, some cons do that. Some cons will have a live feed in the hotel and some will do a live feed online. The problem is internet speeds at a lot of hotels are not the same internet speeds you have at home. So it's not going to be as good as you think it's going to be. Even if you hardwire in, which I know something that DerpyCon does, they hardwire in to set it up that way. So that's basically our Zenkaikon 2025. Normally by this time, we would do our Meanwhile in Japan articles, but that's an additional 10 minutes. And Ari, you need to go to bed, right?
It would, yeah. I want to think about turning in at some point.
Yeah, yeah. And me, I do have to take care of some edits and take care of all of that. And personally, I don't want to be up too late. So. So that's basically our review of Zenkaikon 2025. And I know a couple of people have said, your reviews kind of, well, our reviews are not always the same, but like I said, you're going to get a review of the convention from the people going there from this podcast. And then there's going to be a separate review, written review going up as well. So, you have a 2-for-1 there. So if you are kind of iffy about our review of the con, wait till Cine Night posts her review. It's going to go up in a couple of weeks. It'll be a little bit more, it'll be different, but you'll enjoy what she has to say. So
Yeah, she has her own experiences that
Mm-hmm.
are different from ours.
Okay, let me adjust the volume. That is perfect. All right, let's go ahead and get up and out of here.
Mm-hmm.
So if you like the show, tell a friend, in turn tell another friend, and so on and so forth. We're independent bloggers, independent podcasters. So what we like and don't like, we're telling you straight up. If you have any questions about the show, please drop us a line at podcast@animejamsession.com. Again, that is podcast@animejamsession.com. We're here to believe you. Don't forget to download our podcast. It is available anywhere where podcasts are. You can get them. If you have Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor FM, YouTube Music, our podcast is available there and everywhere. Just search Anime Jam Session. It'll come right up. Please check out our website at animejamsession.com, where you'll not just find our weekly podcast, you will find cosplay interviews, cosplay tips and tricks, anime reviews, editorials, links to our YouTube and Facebook page of cosplay and convention coverage, and a whole lot more. And that's all at animejamsession.com. See what else we got here. Follow us on our socials. Anime Jam Session on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Blue Sky. To everybody that follows us on our socials, thank you so much for being a fan and following. We really couldn't do this without y'all. Let's see. Our tip jar. If you're participating with us live, you can always go, you can scroll down on our page and click on our direct links to our Stream Elements, Streamlabs, and Ko-Fi if you want to throw us a few dollars. That we're really appreciative of. If you can cheer us on with bits in the chat, you can sub to the channel and give out gift subs as well. Every little bit counts to keep the site, keep everything going. And for those of you who chip in and cheer us on, thank you so much. We really appreciate you. So now we're going to go around the room. Last words, Ari.
Tomorrow I get to have lunch with my aunt, which I'm looking forward to, so that's going to be fun.
My last words is, well, I'm starting up a side quest at work. I have to go to another location like every other week, and I have to pack my mouse. And I gotta find a portable keyboard to take with me because I can't work on my normal laptop. So it's going to be fun looking for that stuff tonight. So that is it. End of list. We'll be back next week with a brand new episode, and Mako-chan will be here. So hopefully you'll be here too with us as well. So I'm Ranma.
And I'm Ari.
Great fight, great night. We'll see you next week.
Good night, everybody.
All right, let's get the heck up on out of here.
This podcast has been a production of Anime Jam Session and AJS Productions. No fanboys and fangirls were hurt, maimed, shot, electrocuted, or pistol whipped in this episode. For now. The views, opinions, and thoughts expressed on this show do not reflect the staff or the network as a whole. But we're still right, damn it. For transcripts of this episode, start typing. Check us out at animejamsession.com and vognetwork.com for more information about us and other programming. Jamatane!